Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and people of Wakefield. This is Dave Mangan with the podcast for Kilroy Was Here, H-E-A-R. He was here a long time ago in a faraway land, and he's back here in Wakefield, yes. I have the guest today is Dr. David Frey.
Frey?
Am I Frey? Frey? I always get it wrong, David, don't I?
Like a free man.
Like a free man. Okay, that's right. That's right. David is a Vietnam veteran also, and he was on the part of the country where they were bringing in the wounded and the disabled from the war zone and other things. He'll tell you about that. Mm-hmm. And he was at a hospital in Texas. Yep. Where he worked on as a nurse, as a registered nurse there.
Well, actually, as an international EMT.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Cover the whole world.
I was trained to be a search and rescue medic.
Okay.
And
yeah, that's the way you do it.
So
yeah.
the name of the hospital that I was at was Wilford Hall Medical Center, Wilford Hall USAF Medical Center, which claims to be the largest hospital in the world, civilian or military.
No kidding. Even bigger than the one in Washington, D.C.?
This is so large, it has an airstrip on top of it in the form of a Red Cross, so that planes circling around who might be bringing in patients wounded, or POWs or whatever can see that Red Cross because it's huge. It's like the whole length of the hospital on each side, and I'll tell you about that.
Sure, we'll get into that. We'll get into all of it, David, at some point here today. There was there's the hospital in Washington, D.C., and also the one in Germany that treated a lot of the folks that came back from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh, nice.
Direct flights right to Germany first, and they brought back to the States. Mm-hmm. But Vietnam, of course, over 50 years ago now, and the 50th anniversary is on April 30th, 1975, when Saigon fell. And the anniversary of that was in 2023, David. I see you corrected that. Because there was two different points on that. Some folks thought it was in 74.
Some people thought it was 73.
Yeah, they did. It was actually 74, I believe.
Well, March 29th,
yes,
1973.
Okay.
For a lot of vets, is the date that they think Vietnam ended.
Well, it ended for me in 1970 when I flew home, but I was messed up pretty bad. But a lot of the guys were. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I've been doing research for about a month.
Excellent.
And I'm going to write an article for the item.
Good. Let's do it.
Because I was confused. People are telling me, March 29th, 73. You were talking about April 30, 75, which is the fall of Saigon. A month later was the Marquez incident, which I briefly participated in.
Yeah.
So I contacted the VA. I contacted the Vietnam Veterans of America Association and got a hold of someone called Dennis Howland, who sent me back a message saying that he was confused too. He said, this comes up a lot. What is it? Is it March 29, 73? Is it April 30, 75? Or is it after this Marquez incident?
Right. That was in May 12th, wasn't it? 1975?
May 12th through the 15th of May. 75.
Yep. Okay.
So that's a month after the fall of Saigon. And what Dennis told me was to help differentiate this for vets and the public. March 29, 73 was actually the date of the Paris Peace Accords.
Okay.
Which allowed for veterans from Vietnam to go home. But that wasn't the end, as you alluded to in the beginning.
Yep.
So 2 years later, the fall of Saigon, where the North Vietnamese took over the South Vietnamese. So for them, that's the end of Vietnam for them. And in fact, he says he knows of some villages in Vietnam where they celebrate April 30th, 75. But he says that wasn't the end of the story.
Wow, okay.
Because a month after that was this little-known incident that occurred in Cambodia. I don't know how to pronounce K-O-H Tang? Kutan.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my involvement in it was very, very brief. I was attending college in San Antonio at St. Mary's University. Some military police came to my college room and opened it and said, "We'd like to see Airman Frey." So I
No, were
stood
you
up.
in the Air Force then too?
Yeah.
But you were taking alternative courses like night school?
No. Air Force allowed me to take courses while I was in the service.
No, that's cool. I did nights for a while
Yeah.
in Thailand.
They gave me a good discount.
Yeah, I bet they did. Yeah, free of charge, folks.
And what's
Join the
inter-
military.
Yeah. So military police took me out of the room. I collected my stuff. They said, "Leave your car here. We're taking you by a jeep out to Lackland Air Force Base, where I was stationed, in Wilford Hall, USAF Medical Center." But they only brought me out to the barracks. They said, "We're going to keep the jeep here, and you go upstairs, collect all your stuff, come back down, and we're going to take you, someplace." I didn't know. I'm a teenager. I didn't know why.
You were 19, right?
Yeah, I might have been 20 at that point.
Okay, just turned. Yeah. That's what they got most of us. That was the age of insanity. I
So in
think.
'75, I was, just barely 20.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was going to Vietnam. I didn't know what it was. So they drove me a couple of miles down the road to Kelly Air Force Base, where we stayed in the military car, and there are planes, tail to nose and all that, on the runway. And so we're staying there, and for a while, and then they called back and they said, the mission has been aborted. And I go, "What mission?" They didn't tell me anything. All I knew is I was taken out of college. I'm in this military police car, and now I'm over at Kelly Air Force Base, and they're all ready to take off, and they aborted the mission, and I didn't even know what that was all
Well,
about.
Dave, the old phrase was, I don't have the question why. I am up to do and die.
Yeah.
That's the drill sergeant pounding in our heads. Don't ask
right.
why, just do it.
That's it.
know?
And when I was being trained to be a search and rescue medic, they train you not to think. So I also, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I also participated at the tail end of POW Operation Homecoming, which
What year was that? Was that 74, 75?
spring of '74. I've tried to,
Yeah,
figure
remember,
all
it's
this
a
out,
long
'cause,
time,
like,
Dave. Over 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how that worked, and I participated in helping the prisoners of war come home, and I was assigned prisoners of war that already had numbers on their forehead. So I went after all the surgical patients, because that's where I
That's right,
worked.
that's right.
I did minor plastic surgery.
You
but that was,
supported
Yeah.
the physicians, the doctors.
Yeah.
The
So,
officers, yeah.
when you work on these missions, people tell you what went on. So I'll tell you what they told me. They said they sent in Marines first in, last out. But in this case, they were first in and left. What they did was they gave them these little suction cups.
Okay.
And you turn the dial like a egg timer.
Sure.
And you put the suction cups on the doors, and they blow up, because you got to leave. You can't stay
yeah,
around.
that's
You get blown up.
C4.
So then they sent in the medic. The Marines go back. That was their mission: get in, get out. And they took them off. Then the medics came in, and they're finding the POWs in all different states of alertness. Some were just there; they're like regular guys. Some were dead, and they got a 0 on their forehead, and some were in hysterics because they didn't know if they were being pulled out to be killed. They're in Vietnam; they didn't know what was going on. So, a search and rescue medic isn't supposed to spend a lot of time, trying to collect them.
Do most of these guys pilots? Or they all go up to the...
I don't know.
They must have gone up to the Hotel Hanoi there. Yeah, probably. That's what they put the pilots up there.
So you're supposed to slap them, get them, to be alert now, and you tell them, like, if you don't, I have to go. If you don't want me to help you, then I gotta go. I gotta help somebody else out that wants some help.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I was saying, so like what they do to train you is they have training instructors on each side yelling in your ear. You're to protect government property. You're to protect
At all
government
costs.
property at all costs. So this is how I was trained. So the guy, if you're lucky enough to have another medic with you, the medic in front does not think. The guy in the back gives the directions. Go to the right, go to the left, and then both of you jump on top of the POW if you're coming upon a bomb.
Okay, yeah.
I still have PTSD on this. So if I'm protecting government property, well, and I can get blown up, then how come I'm not government property?
All right, who's going to jump on you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Jeez,
So POWs died, medics died. They were trying to get them to a Huey helicopter, and since you're drilled this way, not to think but to protect government property, the medics are pushing the POWs into the Huey as it's taking off.
Was this in Cambodia? Because I know that a lot of the POW camps were in Cambodia along the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Okay.
Because they would pull the soldiers from South Vietnam. And the few
Right.
that were in Cambodia, we had action going on there towards the end.
For sure.
Through Thailand and Laos and Cambodia.
Right.
That's why the King of Thailand beefed up his forces there, where I was at Ne Kom Phanom.
Yeah.
So
Then they took the POWs to a triage area, and that's when the doctors put a magic marker or something on their forehead according to what they were assessed.
Sure.
Then you were talking
like
about,
a mash, yeah.
So as you were saying, then they took them off to different hospitals, and my particular unit they brought them to Wilford Hall in San Antonio.
It's a long way home.
Yeah, but according to other people who told me what was going on, some went to Germany or whatever, some went somewhere else.
They had ships. They had the ships in the Gulf of Tonkin.
Right.
That would aircraft carriers would take the hospital aircraft carriers that were taking them as well.
So when I was at the tail end working on this POW Operation Homecoming, they had probably airmen that they had these long cones with their flashlights, and they could give directions according to the plane.
Crew chief,
they flew around Wilford Hall until they were told to come down. The planes did not stop running. They just opened up the plane, allowed the POWs to come off.
Then up they go.
Yeah, and then
it's called the touch and go.
Yeah, and then the medics that are attending to that were already told, okay, you're going to go with all of the ones that are fives. Mm-hmm. You're going to go ones that are whatever other number, like the zeros go directly to the morgue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then once that plane has been unloaded, then another one is set down, and so like the ones that are still in the air, they're told to keep circling.
So whoever had the least amount of gas got down earlier. Right? Is that the amount of that? Huh? So if you got a lot of gas, you stay up there for a little while. Well, they had facilities on the aircraft to make them comfortable. I'm sure. Yeah. And any kind of defibrillation if they're having heart problems, or if their wounds were at a point where they needed to have tourniquets or whatever. But the secondary, the military. Airlift surgical hospitals in the field, the MASH units they had. Yeah. Because a good friend of mine was a medic over there. Mm-hmm. And aside from God, the medic was the next best thing you could have on you. It was God and a medic. That was it. But I know that it does develop a lot of PTSD from these returning veterans and the physicians and the people who were the support mechanisms like yourself, who had to put up with a lot of the things they would see, hear, or smell. And those things never go away. They stay with you for the rest of your life, Some veterans die in the field. Other veterans have it over a lifetime. I have it on the wall in my office. Yeah. But David, that's quite a story there. You were promoted quickly too, I understand. Were you an E5 finally, or would you end up as an E5?
Yeah, I think it was E5.
Yes, staff sergeant.
I was actually a tech sergeant.
Oh, wow.
But they took away one of my stripes when I transferred, because what I was the director of the pharmacy clinic in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and when I transferred it back, they said, "Well, we don't have a tech sergeant position for you, so you're going to lose a stripe and go back to being a staff sergeant."
But the pay was the same, though, wasn't it? No.
No, it's
Well,
not.
you know.
You know how it goes.
I do. Well, the media kind of destroyed us while we were there, David.
Yeah.
The media did a terrible job on us.
Yep.
And the rest of the story by our friend Walter Cronkite, I think that was.
Yeah.
He was quite a character. But during the Vietnam War, thousands of Americans directly supported or participated
Yeah.
in a secret war in Laos and
Yeah.
Cambodia.
Right.
From bases located in Thailand and Laos.
Right.
They were engaged in grim struggles against communist forces for control over neutral Laos. See,
Right.
Cambodia, the Phnom Penh, and the Khmer Rouge were already developing, and they're fast, rapidly. And they probably would have had a war with Vietnam had we left them alone.
Yeah.
But they didn't, because they had two different outlooks in their whole way of having communism.
Right.
That was a heavily protected Ho Chi Minh Trail supply routes throughout the rugged mountains of Laos. Secrecy was strict. Most men and women involved in this war, within a war, knew little about the activities of other units. Many did not know the combat operations and significance of their own organizations, sometimes engaged just a few miles away across the Mekong River. For some, the official secrecy was even resulted in the denial of combat decorations because the awarded authority had no knowledge of the official non-existent actions. I was given medals just about 2 years ago that were mailed to me.
Oh.
And I came with a 215. That's the next one up.
Yeah.
And one of them was the Gallantry Cross.
Oh, nice.
And I got the other one is the Presidential Unit Citation with Valor.
Yeah.
My wife said, "What are these?" I says, let me check into it." It turned out that they didn't give it to us. It was all top secret, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not the dark; it's what hunts in the dark. Fear not the enemy, for he will simply kill you. But fear the media, as they will steal your honor. We had courage, we had pride, but without hope, we had nothing. Nothing but ourselves to save in that god-awful place. Young men cast into a strange land with strange surroundings that limited us to keeping each other safe and developing a brotherhood when despair and confusion sunk us to the bottomless pit, known only as loneliness and abandonment by a nation divided and uncertain of its direction. And I always bring that up at my lecture at Boston College because
nice.
I've been doing 22 years over there.
Yeah, they have to learn.
And the kids they can't forget us.
No.
They can't. That's why only reason I did it. I thought there was only 35 kids in the class.
Yeah.
I walked in there with 350.
There you go.
And I looked, as a Jesuit college, up on the wall was the crucifix.
Oh.
And first thing I says, "Jesus, what have you given me to do here?" You know?
Yeah.
You know what I said, David? Let
What?
those who can't be here today speak through me. And I haven't shut up.
That's it.
You know, the little things came off my eyes there, but it worked out pretty good. But I'm developing a program now, and it's going to be initiated within the next few months, David.
Oh, nice.
It's about post-traumatic stress transference.
Yeah.
And how
Oh,
it
you talked
actually,
about that.
I did it at the coffee social.
Yeah.
Well, I had breakfast with General Bennett last summer down the Cape in our training
nice.
program, and I brought it to her attention. And her response to me was, and most people would say that, almost all would, is that they'll just tell you to call the crisis line. If the VSO or a person gets, individually speaking, a person would have to do that anyhow.
Yeah,
and what they usually do at that point is they assign you a therapist at the VA.
You do.
And then you're going all the time until you get yourself going the right direction.
I advise anybody that's listening who might
Absolutely.
have dial 988 in option 1.
That's it, Dave. Very good. Hey, 2 Davids, no waiting. That's right. Here we got 2 Davids here. I just realized that. How foolish am I? But seriously, that's the right thing to do because there's over 500 Vietnam veterans die in this country every day, each day.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's from Agent Orange, better living through chemistry, I guess. But they do treat a lot of the veterans for it now, from heart disease, cancers, extreme acne issues, rashes. I came back with a 9-inch plate size of a rash on my leg.
Not good.
And I was living over in Newton Corner in Watertown.
Yeah.
And there was a dermatologist over in Center Street by the law school.
Oh.
And I made an appointment to see him because my wife, my fiancée at the time, she said, "You better get that looked at. That looks really strange. It's so big."
Yeah.
And it's where I used to wipe my hands.
Yeah.
after my planes would land, I thought it was a hydraulic leak.
Yeah.
And the pilot always told me, he said, no, we were supporting the C-123s. And those are the planes that distributed and sprayed the stuff,
Oh, yeah.
They probably did a flyby, went through it, thinking that's cool, whatever. Anyhow,
So did you end up with the PACT Act?
well, here's what happened to that. No, I got a large day order. I got a few other things going on. But, it's all daily. We're all on that journey, all of us, Vietnam or not. It's just you're either a pilgrim or a tourist when you're alive. You're one or the other. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this doctor he was about 80 years old.
Yeah.
He looked at it and he says, I don't know what that is. You don't want a doctor to say, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
All right, you should know that. Okay? And so he goes, well, I'll give you this cream and you can put it on and come back. And if it doesn't go away, a couple of weeks, come back and see me.
Yeah.
So I got it, big tube. I was putting it on twice a day, 3 times a day before even.
Yeah.
Within a week, it was fading away. It finally went away totally.
Yeah.
And I threw the tube away, of course. That's good. Then I said, I better go find out what that stuff was, because if it comes back, or other people could probably use it if he finds out what the hell that was on my leg, So I went to the doctor's office on Center Street, and he had an office like in his house, on the side of it.
Yeah, that's common.
Yeah, it is.
My wife will tell you that I had offices in my house. Too.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So
bottom floors.
I rang the doorbell, and this woman answered, and she goes, can I help you, young man? I says, yeah, I'm here to see the doctor. Well, I'm sorry to say he passed away.
Oh.
And I said, well, is there any chance I can get my record? Oh, all the records are gone. They picked them up last week.
Oh, no.
So I never got them. And can I find them now? Oh, I don't think so. But nevertheless, that did go away. Totally never came back.
Yeah, you would need those
I would
files.
think so, yeah.
You would need those files, because...
well, my daughter's had some issues. My oldest daughter had a tumor on her thyroid. My youngest daughter has a Chiari malformation on her back, on her spine.
It could be transferred through the gene.
Well, that's right. That's what happened to one of my veterans who lived out in Winchendon, Mass. He died from it, and they never closed out the case. And his wife moved here to Boston and me to Wakefield. Anyhow, we finally put a claim in. It worked out pretty good. But I don't no names, no situations at all. But the point I'm trying to make here also is that there are so many variables involved between medical care, mental health, and that's why 500 die a day in this country. I mean, some days it's probably 200, some days it's 800. It varies. I mean, read obituaries,
Sure, it's all connected.
Last year in Wakefield, I think we lost about 14. Maybe a little less, maybe 12 or 14. I know I've got the stack of the cards at home like this, and when I met my third wife, not by choice, was a long story, but sure, she's only 29, but if she dies, she dies. I'm kidding. She's 75. She's a nurse. She's wonderful. And God bless her. My kids like her more than me, I think. Not really. Well, my daughter said, Dad, we like her. Don't screw this up.
There you go.
That's what I knew. I had to keep her there. And, but anyhow, she has been right there for me. As a matter of fact, the first day I come home from work and drop my keys, I get real angry. And she said to me, what are you so mad about? You just dropped your keys.
Yeah.
Were you talking about the war again? I said, yeah, it's my job, honey. I have to. And I had done a couple of PTSD claims that week.
Yeah, the transference.
That's right. That's right.
You hear so many stories.
Well, this is why I thought we had to start looking after the VSOs in the state. There's 160 VSOs.
And they hear about it all the time.
And most of them are combat veterans. So they've been out there. They know. And they have to open up the other veterans by their experiences.
Yeah.
And by doing that, the veteran is a little more comfortable, and you did this, I did that, we did this, we're brothers, and all that stuff. So then it happens, I said to myself, I better bring this to their attention, because I was getting triggered.
Yeah.
And when you have PTSD and a person gets triggered, it's because something is associated with that experience they had.
And
you hear about it, like if a car backfires, a veteran with PTSD will cower or look around for the gunshots, surprisingly, or fireworks sometimes. They can't handle them, But
I'll tell you one reason why it comes up, and people don't realize it, is like everything positive and negative in your life is recorded in the amygdala of your brain. Little small area, but, so some things come out like a trigger. Person might not even know that they're being triggered or why they're upset, and it's a little thing in their brain.
The medulla oblongata?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm not sure. It's a good Scrabble word, though. I'll tell you what.
No, this is part of your brain.
Okay, you're the doctor.
That's more like the brain stem. There's a foramen magnum is a big hole at the base of where.
Oh, yeah.
So all
I used to have my leash there when I was a kid. I was like a dog, you know.
yeah. So that's something that psychiatrists and psychologists, behavioral therapists work with. With the PTSD because it's ingrained in them, and they're trying hard to get rid of it. And if they can't, then they call up the 988 option 1.
Well, in Bedford, the mental health department there is great. They really are wonderful. I've been over there for since 2007.
Yeah.
So it's like, 10, 12, 15 years almost. And right after I lost my wife, she had passed away, and I got triggered over it, going powered by a guy looking for a parking spot. And,
there are a lot of things that contribute.
Well, he saw the license plate on my car, a veteran plate, and he says, "Where were you?" I said, "I was in Vietnam." He says, "Why don't you go back?"
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't a very nice thing.
That wasn't nice.
I had my granddaughter with me, so my granddaughter being there saved his ass.
Yeah.
I'd be in jail to this day for murder if she wasn't there. She said to me, "Papa, he's a mean man."
Yeah.
I said, "I know, sweetheart. You watch what I do here." So I walked over to the window. We had twins in the back seat. I looked at him. I says, "Hey, pal, God loves you, Jesus loves you, and today I gotta love you." I said, "Behave yourself. You're gonna get the spot." And I was driving out. She said, "Papa, how come you were nice to him?" I said, "Sweetheart, maybe we're on the way to get an ice cream, by the way." And she said, "I can't have ice cream in the morning, Papa." I said, "With your grandfather. You can have it all the time." So we ran to the car, right? So I says, "Honey, this is how it works. When someone's angry like that, it's a very lonely place. Maybe his mummy died, or he found he's real sick, and he's angry right now. When a person's angry, it's a very lonely place." He wanted Papa to be angry with him.
Yeah.
And that's when she told me I was a good man, and I knew I needed to get help.
Yeah.
And I went down to Melrose Veteran Service. I lived in Melrose at the time.
Did you?
Yeah. And they took care of me there. But
it's good.
Yeah, not too long ago, just about a year ago, not even a year.
Yeah.
I was going into the Michaels over there in Stoneham on 28. I had to get a box for my flag from the Constitution that they'd given me. It was really nice. And they had one left, so I wanted to get over there. I parked the car by the front door, and I'm going across the road, and a SUV comes charging towards me. I put my hand up. I said, "Whoa, slow down."
Yeah.
And the passenger in the car says, looks at me, "Get in the crosswalk, you effing old veteran," because they had my hat on there, right? Yeah. And I snapped. I went over to the window, and I started giving it back to him, all right? Both barrels, kind of. And I said, this could escalate. I got to just go in the store. So all right, fine. So in the store, I got my little thing. I got to the cash register, and he's in the store looking for me. All right? So right away, I knew this could be escalating to he could have a gun, or someone else could get hurt here. Yeah. So I called him over. I went like this, just to call him over with my fingers, and he went outside and started staring at me through the glass. If you've been in this cash register there. So I called 911, because just in case, As I called it, I told him what happened, and I said to the kid, "I got my discount, please. I got my 10% discount." I always work good under those kind of pressures, So I got the discount, and I see them backing out to leave, and I also see the cruiser with the lights on, no siren, coming towards the building. Outside, and I said to the woman driving, "Excuse me," I said, "you have to get to a birthday party." I says, "I'm sorry, I think this officer wants to talk to you about what just took place here." Okay, so they put the car back in, and she come over to me, and she said, "I got to separate you. Go to that cruiser over there." I said, "Fine, I understand, totally." Otherwise you start jabbing back and forth. He did it, I did, whatever. So I walked over, I took out my driver's license, and I handed it to the officer, and he said, "Thank you for your service." And I said, "I called you. This could have escalated to someone else could have gotten hurt." Right. "Good call," he said. "Very good." So we talked for a few minutes. He was a Marine. So she walks over, and she says, "You should have been on the crosswalk. The crosswalk's 100 feet down the road. I might have, And they were speeding. They said they weren't speeding. Well, they said you had your hands over. He regrets going in this. Mr. Lopez regrets going in after you. We'll say that because that was his name. So, right. Wink, wink. But anyhow, I went down to the police station to get the report to submit it because I knew I was triggered. So I need to find out what's going on with my mental health. And my, what you call it again, a medulla or something? Was it?
Amygdala.
Amygdala was amygdala. David Mangan.
Maybe we can make it a Spanish name.
That's right. Why not? Why not? So anyhow, they treated me right away, and within 3 months, I was already going doing Zooms. You know, and I did a Zoom for a year now to develop this program for General Andrea Gale Bennett, and she's accepted it. The post-traumatic stress transference, counter-transference, we're calling it, okay, for veteran service officers in the state of Massachusetts. And if it goes the way I want it to go, and I've been assigned a gentleman, a therapist from Gloucester.
Oh.
And we do Zooms once a month.
They have a good unit there.
They have a
deal with lot of
great
PTSD.
unit. Great unit. And and he's going to be notified by Mr. Santiago, the Director of Veteran Services, and also from General Bennett to put this together. And he's been very good at it with me. And I mean, we might meet for 20 minutes on the Zoom, or 10, or sometimes an hour, you know. But it's knowing I have that person there.
Right.
And I even told her, I said, I probably won't have to call at all once we stop the Zooming. You know?
What's interesting, too, is the psychiatrists have nurses.
Yeah.
That you can call up, you know, so in between the psychiatrist and calling the crisis line, you can speak with a nurse.
That's right. That's a great thing. It's wonderful.
And they'll get right with you.
So, in that being said, I brought the letter with me, but I don't need to read it. But it was all about what I just discussed anyhow, So
you had some PTSD transference.
I did, yes.
You know, that happens with people that listen to vets all the time, and you're working hard with vets every day, and you're hearing all kinds of different stories. You're hearing the Gold Star moms and wives and what they went through, and you know they lost somebody or whatever, and they get PTSDs too.
Well, when they come in to get the dependent indemnity compensation because the veteran did pass away, and there's an entitlement, 100% disabled veteran, that the wife, the spouse, if she doesn't remarry, does get the compensation for that, and they get money for the funeral, some of that, and all the things that connect, and they are very saddened. And I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor in that respect, but having been educated in sociology and things of that nature over the years, I found that my faith has actually brought me to a point where I'm able to understand and have compassion. And I don't try to solve their problems. I just try to, as a navigator, I will navigate them to sometimes they'll come out with something it's easier for me to have them connect in a bereavement group or a family member. They'll call me and I'll tie them into that circle of friends, you know, and it works.
There's also a group, ClearPoint, that helps vets, and they even have programs for the spouses, and you know it's all interconnected.
Well, this Saturday, the 19th, is the coffee social for veterans at the Senior Center at 30 Converse Street from 10 o'clock to noon, right? And I have a guest speaker coming in. It's a program they run called Rifles to Rods. So those from guns to fishing rods. All right, you got that? Okay, it's a pretty cool thing. It's free of charge. The programs they have, and all the gear is provided. The freshwater gear, the saltwater gear, and they have these different events that go on.
Is it in Gloucester?
Yes, no, it isn't. It isn't. No. They have 3 locations, maybe 4. He's going to discuss that. At the coffee social, and also there is there's the annual fishing trip out of Lynn. That's in July. I was going to bring that paperwork, but I forgot to get it. And I will be sending that out. That'll be available at the coffee social, also for veterans. You can sign up for that. Did you go last year?
No, you invited me, but you know I haven't fished since I lived in Georgia.
No kidding.
My last time I went fishing, my fishing rod broke in half.
Oh, that's bad.
I was telling my wife, you know, she goes, "Did you lose the fish?" No, I kept working with the broken rod. It was a heavy bass that was on the line.
Wow.
And Georgia's known for some big ones.
Largemouth bass. Yeah. Well, I caught an 850-pound tuna out of Cape Ann Marina in Gloucester, and it took me 6 hours to bring him in. Actually, that the 580-pound one I caught out of Cape Ann. And a week later, I went down to Green Harbor in Marshfield because Carl Waldman, who owned the boat, was moving it down there. And he said, "You want to go again?" We never caught one, you know, and that's great. I said, "Sure." And it was funny because when I was out there at 7 o'clock in the morning out by Cash's Ledge, and I had a sandwich, and I was beautiful, whales and everything, and the Russian trawlers. It was a pristine day.
Yeah.
So I did my morning prayer, and I said, Father, I had a sandwich in my hand, you know. I says, please grant me a fish today. I know you have a sense of humor, but let me finish my sandwich first.
And not a tuna fish.
And well, it was a chicken. It was a chicken sandwich, right?
Yeah.
So I bit the sandwich. As soon as I bit the sandwich, the line went. I went, "Thank you." And I threw the rods down into the galley of the boat, you know. And that one took about 2 hours to bring in, but we harpooned it, and it was beautiful. The Japanese had that fish at Logan Airport before I get back to Melrose.
Wow.
Yeah, it was iced up. They gave me a piece of it and everything, you know. And
That was a workout.
yeah, so Kyle wanted to go down to Green Harbor. I said, "Sure, I'll do this again."
You counted as exercises for the day.
Well, at the end of the day, he says to me, "Dave, do that little chant you did before, you know?" I said, "It doesn't work like that,
Yeah.
you know?" I said, "What the heck, I'll do it anyhow." I did it.
Once over
bang.
lightly, right?
Yeah, well, it worked. And his brother was there, and his brother's girlfriend, Helga, from Florida. Helga the vulgar, I called her. Every other word out of her mouth was effing this,
Vulgar,
this and that, crap and this. Helga the vulgar. I said, "Why are you talking like that? You're a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
You're depleting your whole, nature here." And she goes, "Oh, I thought guys like women to swear." "Not all the time." I said, so anyhow, we ended up bringing the fish in by midnight because it got caught on the ankle buoy and all that stuff. But that being said, rods, rifles to rods. It's a great program. He'll be talking about it. He'll have his business card there, and there's also the fishing trip out of Lynn. I've gone now 4 years running. They have all nice give outs. They give T-shirts out. There's a barbecue afterwards with a band, and they give you all kinds of little trinkets. Yeah, you get all kinds of stuff, and there's prizes. And you're out in the harbor. It's like a Spanish Armada going out. Okay, there's like 100 boats.
Yeah,
and they're all donated by the yacht clubs there in Lynn.
Oh,
and they do it for veterans. Okay, and that's how it started. It doesn't cost anything. And but of course there's only so many. It's July, I believe, the 24th of July.
Wow.
I'll hand out the paperwork tomorrow.
On Saturday.
I mean, Saturday, yeah. My days are all mixed up.
That's all right.
Well, one of the good news, there is good news on the Veteran Service Officer's job here in Wakefield.
And you're on full-time.
I will be starting July 1st.
Which is a blessing, people.
I'm telling you, it's gonna make a lot off my back, and I could be more effective, I think, for the community. I know.
Dave was working 40 hours a week and getting paid for 20. Now,
actually, it's close to that.
This new arrangement for Dave gets to do the whole week and get paid for the full week.
I don't do the job for the money, David. No. I never did. I've retired 3 times in my life, and I'm okay with that. But when, as a Vietnam veteran, and the first time I went down to Washington with the Melrose High School Veteran Club. Oh. Karen Burke, the director of the Senior Center.
I know her.
Great lady, colonel retired from the Air Force, surgical nurse. I think she was an in-flight nurse from Iraq or Afghanistan. I can't remember the details. All I know is she was combat prepped and all that stuff. Anyhow, I went to see her because I had already had my disability in, but I married Christine, and at that point in time, I found you can get more in your disability claim if you're married. So how about that? The government says, "Poor beggar's married, give him more money." You know, it was more sorry, but no. So anyhow, I went to see her, and she says, "Oh yeah." And she goes, "You've been to the wall in Washington?" I said, "No, I've got 3 friends on the wall in Washington, and it's been tough, but." I says, "I think I'm ready to go now. It's been quite a while." And she goes, "Well, the veteran club here in Melrose goes down. There's a spot for 1 more person.
Oh.
You'll be the oldest one on the bus, but, whatever." So I went to Arlington National Cemetery, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And I went, and on the way back, I was talking with Mark Silvestri for the Revere Veteran Service Officer.
Right.
And he was actually at the Beachmont School. My wife, Christine, was a school nurse there.
She was?
Yeah.
Wow.
And her father was the principal of the high school and all that stuff. And anyhow.
Was that your first time going to the wall?
Yes.
Okay, because we also went to rolling to Washington.
That's where you did that, right. I was a big part of that fundraising with everyone, and we all were. Everyone did it.
Yeah.
You know? We all do a little. We all get a lot. You know? That's my word out there.
Right.
But it worked out fine. But the idea was that, here I was going there. I saw Mikey's name and the other guys that were killed. And it meant a lot to me. But he said to me, there's a job opening in Wakefield for a veteran service officer. You'd
Wow.
be perfect for it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, okay, I'll go for the interview. What the heck?
Yeah.
I want to help the Vietnam veterans mostly. That's why I took the job. And all of a sudden, I'm dealing with World War II and Korea and all of them. All of them.
Kazakhstan, Afghanistan.
Yeah. They're walking in my office more than ever before. 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But now it is. I mean, we have veterans from Africa. We the skirmishes in Africa, Syria,
Yep.
Iraq, Iran, probably some in Turkey even, who knows? But it's coming, and it's going to be a lot more coming down the pike. And I wanted to go full-time, not for me. Sure, for the hours. I don't
Yeah.
mind, do it anyhow. I'll do it.
Yeah.
But the next person coming along in 5 years, if God gives me the strength to go 5 more years doing this,
Yeah.
then I will retire. I'll be 194. But, but seriously, I figure 5 more years, that'll be fine. That'll be enough to get the program set up, that the next person coming in, I'll stay and train them
Right.
for about 4 or 5 weeks, because it's not an easy task. The first year I did this, on my anniversary, I said to my Mary Ann, she's a wonderful administrator in the town.
Yeah.
She helps out with doing a lot of Chapter 115, paperwork and stuff, and she's at the beck and call. She's wonderful. And I said to her, I like this job, Mary. I'm going to see if I can be here the longest. She said, you already have been. And it takes 2 years. And not that they didn't like it or were fired.
Yeah.
They just had to move on to a 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah.
So they needed someone who was, and this is how weird it works.
You don't want to get burned out.
No, well, you can, and you can't. Yeah, but
You need to take a break once in a while.
well, I worked at Boston College for all those years and Frito-Lay for all those years.
Yeah.
Back we were small potatoes just chipping away at the competition. See what I did there? It was kind of tough, but because Frito-Lay was growing rapidly, exponentially, actually, and they
Chipping
did. I
away
mean,
with Frito-Lay.
in the first 5 years I worked there, my business tripled.
Yeah.
And when I walk into a store, they say, "Oh, the Dorito guy, where you been?" Everyone's hounding me for those things, you know. But and I got the college account. It was like, it was like hitting the trifecta, the dog track or something. So, but it was hard work, and I was up at
Boston College or
Frito-Lay.
Frito-Lay. Yeah.
And I got the Boston College account.
There you go.
And I was already there from the 1979, okay? And in the 80s, Doug Flutie, I used to have breakfast with him, and Gerard Phelan and his wife Lauren, great couple, and at Walsh Hall, the building I actually ended up in as a caterer, catering director, manager of catering operations.
Right.
But, I was also the dining hall. I was a manager at one of the dining halls in Newton.
So you have a lot of experience.
I do. And, it's you got to look for experience. I mean, it's going to find you anyhow. There's no failure. There's only lessons to be learned.
Sometimes when you least expect it.
That's right. That's right. But like Paul Kinslier said to me about this full-time position, you got to be careful what you ask for. You might get it. But no, I know it'll be. I'm getting a new office. They did a lot of work over there at the Warren School.
Yeah.
It's all been renovated.
So that's
This
where you're
top
gonna move
floor.
to?
It's going to be beautiful. The office is much bigger.
Yeah.
And it's in the corner where the flag is.
Yeah.
On that second floor,
Yeah.
the third floor, maybe the third floor. But all I know is, the basement, first floor, second floor. But it's carpet. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And of course they'll have a grand opening. I'm sure once they open it up and show people around. But.
Yeah.
There's word they're going to get a pool table or a ping pong table or something up there, too, for the seniors.
Living large.
Yeah. No, not that
But
much.
you're going to move from the senior center to...
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Same building.
To Warren?
It's the same building. It is the senior
Oh,
center
it
is
is?
the Warren School,
Oh,
yeah.
it is?
Yeah, well, we have the coffee socials.
Yeah.
It's up at the top.
Oh, okay. I always call it the
They've
Wakefield Senior Center.
They've taken and renovated that whole second and third floor. They have actually, on the very top, they have a staging. And it's all been done over. It looks like something out of the 1940s, but brand new,
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
I should see it.
Yeah, Karen and Chris were involved in getting that put together like that. I don't
They
know.
have a lot going on over there.
They do. As a matter of fact, the parking is a problem, but I recommend an underground garage, but no one wants. You can't do that. Or they
I
can
get
walk.
some new zoning coming in.
Right. Well, seniors get need to walk in every day.
Right.
Get your steps in. Park in on Main Street, Water Street, and walk over. It's only 4 miles, Right.
Right.
But seriously, back to the purpose here.
Yeah.
What This program is about here at WCAT
Yeah.
with Kilroy is here, okay? We want veterans to come in, come to my office, set up an
Yep.
appointment if you want for anything you have that you think you might have a claim that you could put in. If you think, a lot of people, they say, the veterans, the Marines especially, they're very humble, and if they're not missing legs and arms, they're fine, geez. But they're
Simple
great.
five,
They're very good. They're asked the best.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I was with them in Vietnam for a short period where I did perimeter guard. That was it.
I have a lot of respect for
Once
the
a
Marines.
month. Oh, I do too.
Especially because of POW Operation Homecoming.
Oh yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
Marines went in first. I mean, if it wasn't for the Marines, all the medics couldn't have done what they needed to do.
My friend Vinny Cena, he's a character. He was on the roof putting the people in the helicopter, the Chinook,
Yeah.
on the roof that day. You see the video of all the people being put into the Chinook? It was him, Vinny Cena. Yeah, he's Cape Verdean.
Uh-huh.
Great guy. He actually became a chief master, and then he came to work at Boston College as a police officer.
Yeah.
And I think he's a state cop now, getting ready to retire.
Yeah, they're a breed all in itself. Mm-hmm. Once a Marine, always Marine.
That's right. That's right. I went to the birthday party last year. I was invited. 6 of us were invited by Jim Carter. He's done a couple of the podcasts here.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great Air Force too.
Yeah, Air Force.
Yeah, F-100s.
Go Air Force.
I know. And well, the new thing out there now is going to be the Space Force.
Yes.
And we need that. We need that big time for a number of reasons. We have the technologies now, from what I understand, and we learned this in Vietnam, to send the missiles back to where they came from. So I don't care how fast your missile goes. If you have a gyroscope in it, we're going to turn it around.
You know what they don't talk about anymore is the shuttle.
The space shuttle, yeah.
Because it has a payload that can open up. People need to be afraid. Be very afraid.
But be concerned. Be concerned. And, house divided never
Space Force
survives.
is going to be something else.
It will be good. It'll be good. It'll be good. We need it. We have to have it. Technology is the AI and everything else that's coming down the road. And, I went from 1950s, 1949, 1950, to the polio issues.
Yeah.
All the things that took place between then and now, black and white TVs to a color TV, to baseball cards and your wheels that are worth tens of thousands
I did all
now.
that, yeah.
We did all that,
Yeah.
We had a generation. Now the generations that are coming up there, they're gonna get some information from us and the grandparents and everything. But do they listen? Who knows? But that's why I like to have this podcast here, because if we can relate, if there's one person out there and it's a teenager, he or she is not knowing where they're going to go, because at 17, 18 years old, you're trying to make decisions, And I just say follow your passion, You're passionate, but if you don't know what to do, I recommend go in the military.
There's a job for everybody.
And there is, and it's family. It's a real family, and it's a wonderful experience. I went through a lot of problems because I got stuck over there and a lot of problems. My wife had left me, and my buddy Michael was killed, and Jimmy Cabral and Paul Sullivan, and my Nana died, and it was just hard. But adversities, no one escapes them, David.
Yep.
Every single person out there has adversities hit them one time or another, and if you're trying to hide it, trust me, it'll happen later.
And
Happens to
PTSD
young.
is all in itself too.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's a
I have multiple PTSDs.
You do.
I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't even know this, but I was trying to. I got something from the vets asking me about how long I had been with my psychiatrist.
Yep.
And I said, I don't know. It's been a number of years, but I don't know. So I contacted his nurse.
Okay.
He says, let me look up on the computer. He said, "Oh, you've been here forever." At least 20 years, he said. It's like,
Well,
so
there you
that's
go.
what I wanted to say. Is like, don't be afraid to reach out, and get some help.
Right, it's there.
It's there. I'm admitting that I have PTSDs, and the VA has resources.
Yep, they sure do.
If they can't help you, they have something called community care, where they'll send you out to the public outside of the VA, so you could be with a private doctor.
Yep.
And they'll pay for it.
That's right. And, even like Leahy now is part of the VA hospital. And if you had an emergency, if you're a veteran
Yeah.
and you had an emergency, something took, and the VA hospitals aren't nearby, you can go to almost any hospital.
Yep.
And then you have to contact the community care within
Yeah.
24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, I thought it was 72, but that's a very good point. That you can go to a hospital, even if say for example the VA is closed after like 4:15
Oh, yeah,
on a Friday.
yeah.
Something happens, over the weekend, you can go straight to the emergency room.
Yep.
And as long as you contact,
You have to do that.
you're going to end up with a bill.
Well, 72
If
is the
you- if
the
you don't
longest,
report
David.
it.
They like to have it within 24 to
Okay,
48.
if you do, that happened with me once. I went
Okay.
to Melrose Wakefield.
Yep.
You didn't tell them, about it, and got stuck with a bill.
I had a client like that, David, and she was actually in a coma for 3 days. So she come out of it, and she had the bill, and I got a hold of the community care at Bedford.
Yeah.
And they said, well, since the medical condition didn't allow her within 72 hours
Yeah.
to get a hold of us, then you'll have to contact the folks down in Florida.
Yeah.
So I think it was Tallahassee. I got the phone numbers of contacts.
Yeah.
I talked to them. She never had to pay the bill. The bill was like $3,000 between the ambulatory, being
Yeah.
ambulatory and everything else. So that's what happens there.
I have some care with the community care, but you have to tell them, about your veteran services and like for example, I went to a hospital, and I was under anesthesia, coming out of anesthesia, and the doctor had written a prescription, and it was filled at the hospital. But see, they didn't know that I was supposed to send it on to the VA.
Yep.
So they didn't accept, the VA wouldn't accept payment for
okay,
the
the
medication,
copay, yeah.
and it happened to be really expensive. It was almost $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's like I wanted to explain this, in the podcast. That if something like that happens,
Excellent,
you got to
excellent.
tell the hospital, don't fill it here at your pharmacy. I need to go to the VA.
And they'll
get
mail it to
filled
you.
in.
They'll mail it to you.
Oh, they will, but you you don't want the
No.
that hospital pharmacy to fill it out.
You want that VA hospital phone number in your
Yeah.
phone.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And I always said that communication is the currency of a successful operation.
Another thing too is you need to tell the doctor at that hospital if it's under community care.
Yep.
I need you to send the prescription on to the and here it's the Bedford VA. Send it there, and I'll get it filled by their pharmacy.
Yep. That's perfect. No,
Yeah.
I had a ruptured appendix.
Yeah.
I was at the Woodville School Veterans Day a couple of years back, and I knew something was wrong. I was in extreme pain, and I took a whole half a jar of Pepto-Bismol. It was driving. I knew something was bad, but I didn't want to disappoint the kids, so we did the thing. And I couldn't stick around any longer. I told the principal, I got to go. I have to get something checked. Okay. Ran to my car. She comes out with the T-shirt for me, the Woodville School and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So I still have it. It's nice. And, so I went to the Dock in the Box
Yeah.
up there in Stoneham,
Yeah.
that urgent care place
yeah,
there.
right on Main
and
Street.
the woman there, the doctor there, she says, you need to go to the hospital right now. I says, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Your appendix is about to burst if it hasn't already. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you can see the tenderness. So my daughter was nearby. She picked me up
Yeah.
and brought me over. And I couldn't actually take it out that day. I had to stay overnight because I had a cyst on it.
Yeah.
So they had to drain it first, whatever that. But
But you don't want it to burst, otherwise you'll get peritonitis.
it could die. That's right.
Yeah.
It could die. But close calls. We all have them. Some
Good.
make it, some don't. But that's where the whole question of and balance, if you will,
Yeah.
of sustainability comes into play. Everyone's on a different road, different voyage, different journey, and that's what makes us Americans, because we're the children of every nation. We are the children of every nation.
He's right.
And when I worked at Boston College, it was 160 different countries
Wow.
that worked there. We used to celebrate it.
Yeah.
We would have at our once a year dining services meeting. The HR person would come
Yep.
over, and Anita Uloa, and she'd have a map of all the different countries in the world.
Yeah.
But I learned to speak like 5 or 6 languages by doing that in
Wow.
there. I already spoke Thai, and I learned a lot of Italian from my neighborhood growing up. And I think my English. Italiano, non capisco Italiano, Italiano. My wife's 100% Italian. I speak more Italian than she does. But so all my friends and neighbors were all Italian, and there were 3 Irish families in the
There you go.
neighborhood. But then we moved in the projects. We had a cold water flat over in East Cambridge, Norfolk Street.
Yeah.
And we didn't have cockroaches because we had so many mice. The mice would eat the cockroaches.
Cockroaches on the south are nasty.
Well, it was a cold water flat, and we got to the project, Jefferson Park over there, you know. And hey, where'd you grow up, David? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Wakefield.
In Wakefield. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Right on the corner
Yeah.
of Main Street and Grafton Street. I was at 1 Grafton Street, right across
Okay.
from the Most Blessed Sacrament.
Look at
right
you.
there.
Look at you.
Yeah.
A down-home boy.
And then, right at graduation from high school, they wanted me to go to Vietnam. So they almost didn't want me to graduate.
Did you get drafted, though?
Yeah.
Oh, I did, too. But I got out of it by going in the Air Force because I was in
Yeah.
Civil Air Patrol. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting
Tell me some
because when I got my draft number, I said, "Oh, okay, well,
That was in the 70s. That was
Yeah.
73,
yeah,
72, because I didn't have,
Yeah.
we didn't have numbers.
yeah." So I decided, well, if I'm going into the service, I want to investigate what each one does.
Yeah, that's,
So I
you know,
the Army.
what's on the menu?
So the Army has a combat medic. I
Yeah.
didn't want to do that because I come from a long line of healthcare
Okay.
people. My both great grandmothers are nurses. They're
Was Tupper, World War I relative there? Was he Arthur Tupper? Was he a medic?
no,
A medical field? Okay,
no.
okay.
but
That's a
the
Wakefieldian.
The woman, all the women were nurses, and it carried all the way down. So I had a strong healthcare want.
Okay.
You know, so I decided I wouldn't go into the Army because of the infantry. I didn't want to go into the Marines, and I decided, well, the Marines don't have a medical corps.
Okay.
They go with the Navy. So then I said, well, you know, if I'm a naval medic, you know, I'm going to be working with the Marines, and they can assign you over to the.
That's right.
You know, so then I decided I go into the Air Force, and as it turned out, I didn't have a lot of medical combat experience, but you know, couple of times, you know, I had some boots on. In other words, you know.
Yeah. I had the canvas boots over there, and they weren't very good. I ended up getting all kinds of infections in my feet.
Yeah.
But you didn't change your uniform very often.
No.
I think I changed my fatigues
Yeah.
twice a week, you know. You didn't wear it top because it's so hot. We did just bare
Yeah.
skin, you know.
Yeah.
And when I first got to the barracks, I'll never forget it. I got a bus. We took a bus from the tarmac in the 130
Right.
to the barracks, and we had checked in,
Yeah.
and there was chicken wire in the windows.
Oh no.
And I said to the, what do they think we're going to jump out the window?
Yeah.
And the DI yells back, he says, that's so they don't throw hand grenades in on us. That's when I wondered, where the hell am I here?
Yeah.
You know? But I put the duffel bag down in the barracks, and
Yeah.
this little guy comes running over, and he says, oh, you new GI, where are you from? I said, Cambridge. He goes, Massachusetts?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, how do you know that? Oh, same King, Thailand.
Yeah.
What? The King of Thailand, King Bhumipol, was born in the Mount Auburn Hospital in Cambridge.
Wow.
Okay. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I grew up in Cambridge.
Yeah,
Did
did you?
you grow up in Wakefield?
Wakefield. Yeah.
Did you leave Wakefield at all before you went in the military? Did you go to
No,
the United
I-
States?
Uh,
Whole time?
went from here into the service.
Okay.
Then I spent 25 years in the South after that.
Oh, whereabouts?
I went back to San Antonio, Texas.
All right.
Then I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then they sent me back to San Antonio, only not with Lackland anymore, but with Kelly Air Force Base.
Okay.
And then I graduated, went on to other disciplines, and
Sure.
I went to medical school for a year, went to dental school for a year, studied for
Dental school.
Yeah,
There you go.
a master's degree in holistic counseling.
Wow.
I was a third-year nursing student. Then I became a doctor of chiropractic.
Okay, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr.
That's it.
Howard.
That's what my brother said.
Yeah. What'd you do for the patient room 202? Nothing. What do you even do for me?
That's right.
Where are the tools? What tools? I know. Unbelievable, huh? No,
Three Stooges.
There's a lot still going on. There will be, I think technology is growing so rapidly.
Yeah.
Even within the next 10 or 15 years, and I think they can do it now, the aircraft can fly without pilots in them. And these kids with their video games, the parents say, oh, stop playing the video games.
Oh,
a lot of them
it
know.
would help them.
There's a kid in Oklahoma who was flying drones in Iraq, all right, in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And he has a screen.
Yeah.
The thing has a camera on it.
Yeah.
So how good is he at that video game? Is how good he's going to be when he's in the
Service.
Space Force.
Yeah.
Space Force will hire these kids,
Well, the world must be really terrified of Space Force.
Well, I think they probably aren't as terrified as they are about the tariffs.
They're thinking about that first.
Well, this is, I'm not going to get political. This is not a political stage. But I am part of the federal government with my position and having served.
Yep.
We always will be. If you're a veteran, you are still part of your federal government, okay? You swore an oath of allegiance.
Okay.
Okay?
We do.
And we do. And that being said, Memorial Day is around the corner, and we'll have the podcast next month, and we're probably going to discuss a lot about Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, on Patriots Day next week, I think, I wasn't going to mention this, I'm going to now, is the Wreaths Across America van, truck, the tractor trailer, is going to be parked in the parking lot by the Civic Center.
Okay.
Okay, the AmeriCal division is up,
Yeah,
right.
I work with them.
And they have a great museum inside that.
Oh,
Tells
they
you
do?
all about why they do this, how the wreaths are made, and how they get them all to all these places across the country at one time. It's a magnificent proposal, and Dan Benjamin had a big part of that.
Yeah, I know Dan.
And the 4th of July parade is going to be around the corner.
I already signed up for that.
You did? I did the.
I'm on the Clydesdale wagon.
There you go. You're going to be on the Clydesdale with me?
I already signed
excellent.
up.
Yep. That's a nice ride. A lot of fun,
Yeah.
That's what I've done every year for the last 6 years, and maybe more now. But they did a. Barbara Woolley and the gang had a fundraiser at the West Side Social Club, and and I was a comedian. Did Rodney Dangerfield. You got me inspired to do that. I did. Yeah, I'll tell you, I get no respect.
That's it.
But it was a good. They raised a lot of money. Yeah. They did good, and there's a lot happening around the town, and they're doing well. They're developing it, and big round of applause for them. I'll tell you, the work they're doing to make this town advance into that area of community and community service. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. If we all do a little, we all get a lot.
That's right. Isn't there an event coming up where you talk about the Civil War?
Yes, the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial.
Yeah.
We're going to have that the following Saturday after Memorial Day on the Monday. That's Memorial Day. We have a 105 Howitzer going to do a 21 cannon salute there.
There you go.
Okay, over Quantapowhat last year. We had 3 cannons last year, but Paul Cancellieri, the Veterans Advisory Board chairperson, great guy, wonderful guy.
That needs to be in WCAT to show all that.
They'll be they do. They did last year too. That was great. They have the cameras right there. This year at Memorial Day, we have 4 medals of fidelity to give out to families whose husbands had succumbed to service-connected death, and also 1 medal, the Ambassador for Peace medal, Korean War medal. That's going to be given out as well.
Wow, those guys are getting up
and he's
there.
still alive. He's a great guy. Yeah, that's right.
What are you saying?
Yeah. There's a handful of World War II. Now Charlie Deniso, he's one of the pronounced Deniso, I guess, and he's his whole family, Wakefield. And all been in World War II. And 7 of them were involved. He was a Merchant Marine first, and then when he retired, he got out of the Merchant Marine after his 2-year clip.
Right.
He had turned 18 because he went at 16, and the Army drafted him into Germany.
Yeah.
So he was quite a hero.
Yeah.
We love Charlie. He's a great guy. But well, we're going to wrap this up today, David.
All right.
Thank you for being our guest, and I'll see you at the Coffee Social Saturday.
That's it.
Okay, and we'll have plenty of donuts and coffee brought to you by the Quantapowhat.
That's it.
Honey Do Donuts, okay?
That's it. Honey Do.
Derek's team, they provide them for us every coffee social.
That's it.
Now for several years now, and it's wonderful they do that.
Salute out to Honey Donuts.
Indeed. Well, wrapping it up, thank you very much, folks, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Remember, Kilroy is here.